So we're here in early spring. We can see that the garlic shoots are up about 4 inches. We're in good shape, looking good here. We did a pre-soak in the fall when we planted them and popped them in, and I suspect I've got close to 100% germination here, and they're really looking good. So let's talk about early spring care for your garlic. There's just a handful of things that you need to do. Garlic really is low maintenance, all told, especially in comparison to a lot of other plants. So the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to manage my mulch a bit. Now, usually I have a layer of straw already on these. I mulched with some shavings with rabbit manure in it because I do keep meat rabbits. And so we've got that layer on here, but this is not going to be enough to get me through the spring and summer in terms of weed control and also moisture retention and things like that. So the first thing that I will deal with is mulching, and like I said, I do have bales of straw that are ready to go on here. I'll be applying those in a layer about 2 to 3 inches thick, and that will help with weed suppression and also will help with moisture control. Erosion control isn't too much of an issue for me here, but you know, that will get us well into the summer. So that's it for the mulch. If you do have a heavy layer, and I've had this happen in other years where I've had a nice layer of straw or thick mulch on there, but it's also insulating the ground, so sometimes it will keep the ground a little too cold. And if you're noticing that things like daffodils or tulips are coming up and your garlic really isn't, you might need to pull that back, let the sun warm the soil for a few days, but then put it back. You want to put it back on there so that it continues to suppress the weeds. And then weed control is another issue that you need to keep up with, but the weed control should be minimal if you do that. One tip on the weed control: get on them early, keep them down, and they won't be an issue. If you let them get too big, then when you pull them, especially if they're close to these plants, these bulbs, you risk pulling up the garlic plants. Water and moisture control is another thing. Now, here where I am in the Northeast US, watering in the spring is not something we usually have to do. A lot of times I'm good on water until garlic is harvested, so I may or may not need to give them some water. They want about 1 inch a week. Usually I get that from nature. Not always, but usually. If I don't, then I will water to make up for it. Fertilizing, spring fertilizer, I rely mostly on compost and the rabbit manure, but if you know, so you could do a layer of compost. If you do have thick mulch, you want to pull that aside, get the compost under it and cover it back up. Let that go to work and do its job. You can, if you're using like a synthetic fertilizer, you can apply that about every 10 to 14 days until about a week or two before the scapes appear. Now, only hardneck garlic will have scapes. These are a hardneck variety, so I will have scapes, and scapes are definitely something that you want to be pulling off when they start to curl. Those are the flowering stalks, and you want that energy to go into your bulbs instead of going into the scapes. Fortunately, the scapes are delicious and versatile. There's a ton of ways you can use them, and getting them off early, well, it gives you that early garlicky treat. So that's in a nutshell. There's more information in the article. Thanks for watching, and I wish you the best of luck with your garlic for the best harvest you could have.